Hi, Bookworm buddies. Welcome back to chapters 8 and 9 of Upside Down Magic. Nori was a bitten for only a minute, but during that minute, she got a lot done. She chewed up one of Mrs. Starr's paperbacks and knocked over the sunflowers on her desk. She ran 3 times around the room and then decided to build another beaver dam. It was only when bitten Nori tried to gnaw on Miss Starr's chair leg that the metal taste snapped her back to her Nori self. She was under her teacher's desk. Please let this be a bad dream, she thought. What the zoom zoom was that? A voice asked. Whatever it wasn't normal, a second voice replied. It had teeth like a beaver. It was too small to be a beaver. The back end was all fluffy and black. We didn't see it long enough to tell. Now we know what's wrong with her, that's for sure. Then Miss Starr's voice said, Class, let this be a chance for us to learn the first lesson of Upside Down Magic. There's nothing wrong with any of you. We will not use that word to describe ourselves. Wonky then. We won't use wonky either. It's not polite or kind. Instead, we will say different or upside down, said Miss Starr. Nori climbed out from under the desk. A cluster of faces looked down at her. Some were concerned and others were just curious. I'm all right, she said. She was hot with shame. I'm sorry. Do you need to go to the nurse? Said Miss Starr. Oh, no, said Nori. This just happens sometimes. It's fine. Well, we all need to figure out how to manage our particular kinds of magic in every situation, even times of stress, said Miss Starr. The first day of school is stressful for all of us, even me. Nori, you've just done a lovely job showing us what kind of magic you have, which is how I want to start the day anyway. She gestured for all the kids to return to their seats. Nori took the desk beside Elliot. Miss Starr went to the front of the room and hopped up on the desk to sit on her desk. I'm very happy to be here. I just finished my teaching training at UDM, and I'm looking forward to working with you this year. Did you know that the first UDM Dunwhiddle class has offered is this one? Isn't that exciting? She swung her feet and her bright yellow sneakers swished through the air. As for you guys, you're here because someone thinks you should be, because someone called you wonky or broken or worse. Nothing like a positive message to start out the day, Elliot said to Nori. But guess what? Miss Starr's face broke into a grin. I've been called wonky and different too, and I speak from experience when I say there are ways to make the most of your magic, whether it's atypical or not. I'm here to help you get in touch with your nature, to understand your emotions, and to develop skills. With these ideas in mind, I'd like to invite each of you to show us your magic. Her manner was joyful, as if they were sharing a secret, a good secret. She turned to the blond boy with the thuggish eyebrows, although perhaps his eyebrows weren't quite as thuggish after all. His eyes were round and earnest, and his tuft of hair stuck up straight from the back of his head. He actually looked nice, if nervous. Sebastian, Miss Starr said, would you like to go first? Say something about yourself and then share your magic. Sebastian stood. His chair scraped the floor. My name is Sebastian, and I'm kind of a flicker, he said. Only I can't turn invisible, and I can't turn other things invisible either. Well, then what do you do then? I see sound waves. They're invisible to most people. Are these sound waves coming from me? Said Miss Starr. If they weren't, you'd be dead. Sebastian looked startled when some kids laughed. Why is that funny? He said. Sound waves are very important. When you talk or breathe or when your heart beats, sound waves. They're zooming all over the room. He waves his hand wildly. Zoom! They overlap a lot. It's pretty complex. What's the point? Said another boy in the front row. Nori thought he sounded rude, although he wore a t-shirt with a skull and crossbones on it, and Nori imagined him picking out that shirt with purpose so that people would know right away what kind of boy he was. The kind to wear a skull and crossbones t-shirt. Seeing sound waves, he went on. What good does that do you? They're all around us, said Sebastian, and I see other invisible things too. Whatever, said the boy. Nori felt depressed. First, Elliot had ditched her for his flare friends. Then the girl she liked turned out to be Pepper the Fierce. Then she turned into a bitten in front of everyone. The skull and crossbones boy was mean. There wasn't much of a bright side to this day. Thank you, Sebastian, said Miss Starr. I know it isn't easy going first. She turned to the skull and crossbones boy. Bax, would you like to go next? No. Nori expected Miss Starr to say something like he had to, but instead she smiled sweetly. No problem, I'll come back to you later. How about you, Elliot? Elliot stood. He shifted uneasily and patted down his big hair. Flare, he said. Flare and... Miss Starr prompted. Flare and freezer, said Elliot, his eyes down. Would you show us, please? Miss Starr looked genuinely excited. Here, I have a glass of water. Would you like to freeze it? I can do regular flare stuff too, said Elliot. Some of it anyway. You can do that later, said Miss Star. Let's start with freezing the water. Elliot waved a hand. The water iced over right away. Then ice shot down Miss Star's hands and up her sweater. Elliot, stop! She cried. Elliot stopped before the ice reached her neck. He covered his hands with his face. It's really wonky. I'm sorry. We don't say wonky, said Miss Star. Remember, we say different. Boys and girls, Elliot is an upside-down flare. Think of it as opposites. Thinking about things as opposites is a great place to start understanding unusual magic. She said all this while taking off her frozen yellow sweater and putting on a spare cardigan. I came prepared, she said cheerfully. This is one of the things we learned in UDM teacher training. She put on a new cardigan. It was bright orange. Thank you for sharing with us, Elliot. Now, Andre, would you like to go? Everyone looked up. I think it's pretty obvious what my magic does, Andre said gloomily. With a grunt, he pushed off the ceiling. His body drifted a foot towards the floor and then flew back to the ceiling as if he was being jerked by a yo-yo string. He bounced a few times before coming to a stop. The girl next to Nori raised her hand. She was light-skinned and wore her dark hair pulled back in a high ponytail. She was dressed in a funky red and black pant-striped suit and big boots. In her ear, Nori noticed, was a hearing aid. What happens if you go outside? The girl said to Andre. I'm on a leash. I'm sure you've all seen my sister walking me to school. What would happen if she let go? The girl persisted. I don't know, and I don't want to find out, Andre said. What an awful magic to have, Nori thought. At least when I turn into a bitten, I can turn back. She had a little time to feel sorry for him, though. Miss Star had moved on, and Pepper raised from her desk. She kept her eyes on the ground. It's fine, Pepper, really. Pepper hunched her shoulders. She said something Nori couldn't make out. A demonstration would be best. Miss Star said gently, do you need a volunteer, a fluxer perhaps? Since your magic works on animals, I can get some kids from the 7th grade class. She picked up the phone, and less than a minute later, 2 7th graders came in the room, a boy and a girl. Pepper sighed. We're all here for you, Pepper, Miss Star encouraged. Don't worry. All right. Do either of you do crocodile? Said Pepper. The 7th graders shook their head. That's really advanced, said the girl. How about bear? No large carnivores till the end of high school, said the boy. In 5th, we mastered all different kinds of kitten, the girl volunteered. I was hoping for something that wasn't little and cute, Pepper muttered. The nicer the animal, the worse it makes me feel. Kitten is fine, said Miss Star. Let's see. As if she'd flipped a switch, both 7th graders transformed into teeny kittens, one orange and one calico. They were really good kittens, Nori thought, feeling a little jealous. Perfect whiskers, perfect stripes and spots, not a touch of dragging anywhere. Moving closely, Pepper knelt down to the kittens. She held out her hand the way a person does to cats when a person wants to say, I'm safe, see, come sniff me. The calico's tail stood straight up. Her legs went rigid. She yowled a terrible, high-pitched yowl and then fled the room in a blur. The orange kitten cowered and hissed. He tried to escape by crawling up the wall, his tiny claws scrabbling at the white paint. Pepper was clearly the scariest animal these kittens had ever imagined. Miss Star cleared her throat. All right. Thank you for showing us your power, Pepper. Let them relax now. But I can't, Pepper said desperately. I can't turn it on or off. They just hate me. Miss Star said. Pepper, would you mind going down the hall, way down the hall, just until everyone calms down? 2 spots of color appeared on Pepper's cheeks as she slunked out of the room. Chapter 9. Things worth doing are usually hard, said Miss Star, but so what? We're not afraid of hard work, are we? It had taken Miss Star and the 7th grade teacher 10 minutes to coax the orange kitten down from the top of the cupboard. The calico had fled down the hall and out the door, but luckily was found underneath a radiator. Now things were back to normal. Pepper had returned, slumped in her chair. I'm here to work with you, with all of you, said Miss Star. She gave a short nod as if that settled the matter. Marigold, you're next. The girl with the hearing aid stood up. I'm Marigold, and my parents live 3 hours away, she said. I moved in with my grandparents so I could come to this program. My grandparents let me watch as much TV as I want, so that's the good part, but I miss my family. Me too, Nori thought. Marigold went on. I'm not upside down exactly. I mean, not an opposite. I'm whatever Marigold was. She couldn't find the right words for it, or else she didn't want to say them out loud. It's okay, just show us your magic, Miss Star told her. If you say so. Marigold touched her chair. It began to shrink, smaller and smaller until, they couldn't see it anymore. I shrank my bed, now I sleep on an air mattress, Marigold said. And I shrank my grandpa's car, and now he has to use a bicycle. This year, I hope I can learn how to make things big again, or at least control the shrinkage. You're kidding, scoffed Bax, the rude boy who wouldn't show his magic. You shrink things, which basically ruins them, and you don't know how to fix them? Miss Star clapped her hands. She doesn't know how yet. That's something we need to work on, Marigold. Marigold bit her lip and nodded, and then, since her chair was too small to see, she sat down on the floor. Willa, you're next, said Miss Starr. The girl who rose from her desk was a blonde white elf made of pointy ears and knees. Her hair was shiny, pale curtain, and her mouth was full of braces. I make it rain, she said. Willa has another upside-down flare, said Miss Starr. Elliot, isn't that interesting? Can you light fire? Elliot asked. Willa shook her head. No, let's try to talk in positives, said Miss Starr. You do rain at present, and I'm sure you'll do more as you develop. Do we need umbrellas? Willa nodded. Again, I am prepared, Miss Starr proclaimed. She strode into the group with the yellow umbrellas leaning in the corner. Then she handed them out to each student. We're ready, Willa, she called. Nori felt her depression lift a little. If Willa could make it rain, that's important. She could help crops grow, bring plants to barren deserts, help animals. A rain talent could be really useful. It might be very unusual, but no one could say it was wonky. She got her umbrella open just in time. Rain poured from the ceiling, drenching the room and running in small rivers from everyone's umbrellas. The floor is wet, said Elliot, and the carpet, and all of our papers, said backs of the books. It's kind of awesome, though, Nori muttered, admiring a raindrop from the toe of her sneaker. Is it? Said Andre. Really? His umbrella was inverted and filling with rain. It had become heavy and was pulling his upper body down where his feet were staying on the ceiling, and he was soaked. Willa turned the rain off. Sorry, she said. It never ends well. I can only do it indoors, so it's kind of worthless. Positives, right, said Miss Starr. Every day's an adventure, and Willa has remarkable and unusual talent. We'll get the janitor in here, and Andre, I'll see if I can get you some dry clothes. She picked up the class phone and made a call. After she hung up, she said, problem solved. But let's bring in spare things to keep in our lockers, okay? Days will go smoother that way, and Willa and Marigold and Elliot among us. The Flair classroom all have this to do the same, and they keep burnt ointment. So we should count ourselves lucky. I can totally light fires, said Elliot. You just didn't give me a chance to show it. Everyone closed their umbrellas and sat awkwardly around the wet desks. It's down to you, Bax, Miss Starr said, smiling at the one student who'd not yet shown his magic. Are you ready to share? No. Come on, Bax, said Miss Starr. She was firm but friendly. We'll all support you and we'll help you to become your best self. The spirit of the UDM classroom is trust. I don't think I should, Bax insisted. I disagree. We can start by talking. I know from your papers that you're an unusual fluxer like Nori, right? Nori showed us a very interesting... What was it? A bitten, said Nori. A beaver kitten. A lovely bitten, said Miss Starr. And after that, I think we're prepared to handle anything. So, Bax. Bax cradled his head in his hands. Whatever you're ready. Fine, he said. Nori heard a whoosh as Bax turned into a tremendous chunk of rock. The floor shook when he crashed from his chair and onto the floor. Whoa, said Willa. That was a great sound wave, Sebastian added. He's a rock, said Nori, astonished. She had never known a fluxer to become a rock or a plant or anything that wasn't an animal. She couldn't quite believe it. He's really something, said Miss Starr. She hopped off her desk and walked around Bax, admiring the thoroughness of his transformation. Very good, Bax. All rock. No boy. How do you feel? Bax just sat there. Miss Starr laughed. Okay, you've proven your point. Now change back, please. Bax just sat there. Bax, Miss Starr said. Fiddlesticks, I think he's stuck. It took 4 people to roll him down the hall to the medical office. Nurse Riley was a pudgy gentleman who wore scrubs decorated with unicorns. He seemed surprised to see Bax, but confident. He promised to have him fixed up before lunch was over. Nori followed the rest of her classmates on the way down to the cafeteria. This is upside-down magic class, she thought. A freezer, a fierce, a girl who shrinks things, a girl who wets things, a boy who can see sound, 2 wonky fluxers, and a flyer who won't come down from the ceiling. Nori thought and took her 100th deep breath of the day. She wanted to look on the bright side, but from where she was standing, she didn't see much of one at all. All right, friends, I'll see you tomorrow.